This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. I'm Sal Berry, and with me is Tim Parrish and Clemente Lisi. And today we're going to talk about the 2024-25 Upper Deck Series 2 hockey card set. We'll also talk about some of the Alexander Ovechkin collectibles that have been released recently, as well as an upcoming autographed card that's going to be seeded in packs of extended series. So we'll talk a little Ovie and a lot of Series 2, but gents, we got some catching up to do. Clemente, how you been, man?
Been good. It's been a while, like you said, and we had a big break, with Easter and Passover in the middle, and I did some traveling, so on vacation. So I'm glad to be back.
Awesome to have you. And Tim, how have you been?
I've been great. How about you? How are you doing, Sal?
Nobody ever asks me that.
I just did.
Oh, okay. Life is good. I'll just say that. Life is good. I've been a little busy. We've all been a little busy. I realized something that I know, like, we say this is a weekly podcast, but we're not really a weekly podcast. And I think Clemente said we're always making a comeback, like every episode's a comeback episode. I realized something. We're not a weekly show. Remember when they would do those made-for-TV specials that would happen every now and then? Like the Incredible Hulk TV special. They would do one where it was like the Incredible Hulk meets Thor, and they do another one where like Hulk meets Daredevil, right? Or something like that, right? Where it wasn't like it were like a special Matlock 2-hour movie or something like that. You know what I mean? Where it wasn't like a weekly series, but it was just like around enough that people were used to it, but it wasn't like every week on a Sunday at 7 or whatever. That's kind of like what we're like. We're like a semi-regular, not quite weekly, but not quite monthly. We're just kind of there. I mean, we do more than one episode a month. We probably do about 30 episodes a year. That's respectable. I know that's not weekly, but that's still something. But yeah, other than just being busy with life and other pursuits, I'm good. I'm excited about playoff hockey. I don't want to talk too much about it because by the time this episode gets edited and posted, we'll be into the second round. But I've been enjoying playoff hockey a lot, and that makes me happy. And yeah, that's about it.
I'll add this to playoff hockey. All three of us don't have a team in the playoffs this year.
Oh, you're right. You are so right about that. I was thinking about that yesterday when I was watching Game 7 between Dallas and Colorado, and I was just like, I don't have a dog in this fight, and I guess it lets me be totally neutral because I'm not thinking like, oh, I hope the Blackhawks don't have to face that team in round 2, so I hope that the other team upsets them, right? Where you're kind of watching your team and hoping they win, but then you're hoping that like some underdog team beats the other team or makes it go Game 7 so that your team can play a tired opponent and not like an opponent who's just steamrolling through everybody.
By the way, totally neutral in this sense means you want the Oilers to win.
Say what?
Being totally neutral means you want the Oilers to win. I feel like the hobby wants the Oilers to win every year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen.
Well, and I said it in my newsletter. I want the Oilers to win once. Right. One time. Like, I'm happy to Ovechkin won one time. He doesn't need to win 2 times. He just needs to win one time, right? Like, all greats need to win the cup one time. Ideally, you want to see them be on, like, be like the star player on the team. I mean, like, you look at somebody like Alexander Mogilny, right? Like, we think of his best years. He was with the Sabres for probably arguably the best part of his career, but he won the cup with the Devils, but most people don't remember that. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I guess he did win a cup, and you go, yeah, he's a great player, Hall of Fame, this and that, had a lot of goals, but he wasn't like the guy that, he wasn't the Mark Messier for like the Rangers or Patrick Kane for the Blackhawks or the Sidney Crosby for the Penguins. He was just kind of on the team and he helped the team, but Brodeur was way more important for the Devils Cup wins that year. But yeah, good point. Did you guys buy into any of the hype on some of these Ovechkin collectibles that got released lately. I'll just give a quick rundown. So Tops Now, they issued, this was a while ago. This is back when he broke the record. They issued a 10 sticker set. I want to say it was like $30. I I bought it. I still haven't gotten it. I don't know why I bought it because I kind of have like a love hate thing with the Tops Now stickers. I just kind of buy the ones that I like. But then I looked and I said, well, I like Ovechkin and I'd be getting all Ovechkin stickers. And this is just going to go in my Ovechkin binder. I don't obsessively collect Ovechkin cards. I'll just set one aside if I come across one. If I don't have it in my binder, I'll put it in there. So I did buy that. Upper Deck also put out a print on demand set called Great Moments. And what was unique about that set is there were like, the different parallels because it was an e-pack set. And then I believe you could also get like certain incentive cards. Like if you collected all 8, then there was like a bonus card you could get. And then President's Choice Trading Cards put out a 15 card set called Quest for the Record. And what was unique about that is that like they'd have like the first card and the last card were just Ovechkin and like pieces of Ovechkin game used stick. But then there was like one card, it was like Alex Ovechkin ties Marcel Dion. And then it was like a piece of an Ovechkin stick and a piece of a Dion stick. And there was like Alex Ovechkin ties Mark Messier. And it was like an Ovechkin stick piece and a Messier stick piece. So like 13 of the cards were like Ovechkin ties this guy, Ovechkin ties that guy. And they did a pre-sell for the full set. Eventually, President's Choice is going to release any cards that didn't get sold as a set. They're going to put out some single cards, but each card is numbered out of 8. And there's like 15 different cards. And those might even be out by the time this podcast drops, or they might not, but those are coming. And the other ones are long gone. Yeah, and then McFarland Sports Picks. I guess I'll just mention this really quick. They're releasing an action figure or in-action figure because they don't really have many points of articulation, but it's a 12-inch scale Ovechkin figure. He's down on one knee, so at the stick, from the base to the top of the hockey stick, it's like an 11-inch tall figure. It's pre-selling for $450. And then there's a version that's pre-selling for $600, and it has an autographed backdrop, or the backdrop will be autographed by Ovechkin. Well, that version's already sold out. So people will pay $600 for a 12-inch action figure of Ovie with a signed piece of cardboard behind him. I guess that's what a hockey card is, a signed piece of cardboard. Or $450, which, I mean, you look at like the 12-inch Connor Bedard figure, that was $300. And I just said, wow, that's a lot of money for a new toy. But anyway, so I'm just wondering what you guys think about all of this, all these different Ovie collectibles thus far.
I'll just say that I understand that once he broke the goals record, which I think everyone here thought he was going to do, it's not a big surprise. It's a matter of when, not if. And then everybody came out with this collectibles like immediately. Like Upper Deck was putting out stuff that afternoon, that Sunday, I remember, and then all this stuff. And I bought none of it because I'm not a Capitals fan. I'm not an Ovechkin fan. I don't really care. My investment in Ovechkin came 6 years ago when I bought his Young Guns card, and that's it. I thought, okay, well, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'll get his Young Guns card, and I'll sit on it.
Right.
And, I understand a lot of this is like a money grab. And I will say a lot of the stuff that's been coming out by all these different companies is very Fanatics-like, in the sense that like taking advantage of the moment and the hype. Look, if you're a Capitals fan and you love Ovie and you live in that market, why not? I mean, I was at the Chantilly show around that time, and it was like, I never saw so much hockey at Chantilly, which is mostly a football and baseball show. But it was like anything Ovechkin was there, not just the cards, anything, shirts and figures and just anything. And I understand that, but I know it's also a temporary thing. And I read about it, but I kind of moved on and don't really care.
Did you guys pay attention to the pricing values of his Young Gun when the record broke?
No.
No, I didn't even look at that. I didn't even care about that.
I mean, I had to look just to see, because this is what we do. But
Right.
yeah, his Young Gun value leading up to that, like, started to spike about a week ahead of time. And yeah, The interesting thing is, it seemed like as his card went up, so did the Gretzky rookie, because more attention was being paid, and Gretzky's name was in everybody's mouth because you were talking about Ovechkin saying breaking Gretzky's record. So we're like, oh, I need that guy and this guy. So there were a lot more sales. Prices went up. It looked like, it looked like an easy 15 to 20% price hike from where it was beginning of the season. Look, this guy's the same player. He's no different. He'll be 100 years old and he'll still be scoring like this. Ovechkin's the kind of player that's sort of like Yager-esque with a little less work ethic in the gym. So, guy can play forever. Whether he wants to or not, I don't know.
The day before he broke the record, he was like, I saw him boarding an airplane with a bag of potato chips in his hand.
Yeah, guy drinks like 8 Cokes on game day. And he eats Doritos and Cheetos and stuff. And, he's not quite Phil Kessel level of peak physical condition, but he's also not this ripped, shredded guy that's constantly on the ice working. Because here's the thing, it doesn't matter how much working. If you have natural talent and you have a shot, you have that shot. Whether you're 150 pounds, 200 pounds, or 300 pounds, your shot is your shot. The rest of your game boils down to what that is. And, let's face it. He has an office. He blasts the puck from the office. So, a lot of special team type goals are scored. I'm not taking anything away from it. The guy's an amazing goal scorer. Probably one of the best that we've seen in our lifetime. And, he's a surefire Hall of Famer and everything else. I don't think now is the time to be buying all of this stuff. Most of it's going to be one-time shop promotion, limited edition. I feel like some of this is going to be the stuff that ends up in bargain bins 10 years from now. I could be wrong. I don't know. Collectibles are weird now. It's hard to gauge, but a lot of the things that we thought were super cool in the 90s and stuff that were commemorating various things, we find on the dollar tables or in the discount boxes now. So, not to say that a $400 or $500 McFarlane figure is going to end up in a discount box, but I'm definitely not jumping in the line to buy into his, special edition card sets or NFTs, assuming there is one.
I haven't seen any, honestly. None of them have come across my radar. Again, I haven't really been looking for NFTs. I was probably a little more in tune with it when I was writing an article about it for the Hockey News. And since then, though, it's been really kind of quiet. I mean,
whatever happened with those? The NHL ones, are those still around?
Breakaway? I think so. I just, every now and then I see an ad for them. But
surprised they didn't do one for that. Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't pay attention to it. So.
I don't know. I mean, I'm on their mailing list, their email list, so they haven't really messaged me about that. I was getting breakaway emails like once a week or twice a week or whatever. They were pretty diligent about like keeping me in the loop, and now I don't know, it's been kind of quiet. So, I mean, can we say NFTs are dead? I mean, never say never, but I mean, I wonder if people have just finally learned their lesson.
I don't know. I just saw something that they're coming out with like some kind of coin currency thing for Twitter. So that'll be interesting.
I do want to pick up on what Tim said, though, about Ovechkin, his cards or anything is not a good time to buy. And I think it's going to be hot, especially, they're in the playoffs and everything. It's going to be hot through the National. And then after that, who knows? It may just, people forget about it and move on to something else. But it could be what drives the hockey card market a little bit. Now that we have this kind of void, I mean, people aren't chasing Bedard anymore. And there isn't a rookie this year that everyone's chasing crazily like they did with Bedard. And so, unless there's some other big record that people are chasing, I don't know. So, yeah, Ovechkin's got the limelight now, and that'll sustain itself a little bit. And then, it'll be something else, something new.
All right, I just looked it up. NHL Breakaway, the Grade 8 Chase Pack.
Yes, I see it.
Numbered out of 88. It's Series 2, so there must have been a Series 1. So As one of the most incredible moments in sports history, you have an exclusive chance to pull Ovechkin's etched in ice highlight commemorating his 894th record tying goal. So where's the record breaking one?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so yeah, they apparently did do it. There we go. Yeah, their ads are working really well because I knew nothing about it.
Well, no, but the funny thing is that like even Tops does a subpar job of promoting its Tops Now stickers. Like I didn't even find out about the Ovechkin 10 sticker set until I was updating the news, doing the newsletter. And when I looked to see what the new Tops Now stickers were for that week, I said, "Oh, whoa, they're doing a whole separate sticker set of Ovechkin." So they don't really push it. The only one that really pushes their hockey stuff is Upper Deck because it's Upper
Yeah.
Deck, and that's their go-to.
I got the message from Upper Deck. I saw their tweets about it, or as well their ads, but I saw those, and I saw somebody post about the top stickers because when those were coming out, they reposted Fanatics ad, and they're like, "I didn't know Fanatics had a hockey license," and then of course, a bunch of people had to jump in there and explain how that was set up.
I thought one of the funniest things Upper Deck put out was they were going to put cards in the future of Ovechkin with the parts of the carpet from the ceremony
Oh yeah,
in the cards.
the
And I thought that
rug.
was, the rug, yeah, and that
Yeah.
I thought that was just really funny. That like,
Yeah.
and again, a Fanatics type move, but I don't blame them. They want to try to capitalize on everything possible here in terms
Well,
of.
you know what? It's no different than the event used stuff that's always in SP game used,
Yeah.
where it's the banner from
Banner
like draft
year.
day,
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
or a banner that was supposedly hanging in the arena, or the tablecloth from some signing they showed up at,
Yes.
or a towel from something,
or an event worn shirt, which means that he had it on and then he took it off,
like
I
a
don't know.
T-shirt or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So
Right.
there's all that kind of stuff. I mean, anything that you touch and there's potential DNA transfer, I guess that's fair game. So
But where do you? It's so
you can
stupid.
take that for what it's worth. I'm not going to explain any more than that.
Please don't. But I mean,
I never thought the words DNA transfer would ever appear
Yeah,
on this podcast, but there you go.
yeah, it sounded scientific, but then it sounded
Upper Deck
gross.
CSI.
yeah,
Yeah.
we bring you closer to the game at the microscopic level.
At the germ level.
Yeah. Okay, so like those banner year, because when you mentioned like event used, and I thought about like the SPGU, like the it's like a piece of a banner that was on display at an All-Star game, and it's just like nobody wants those cards. Like I find them, I find them in dollar boxes, and if they ever sell, it's because somebody's like, oh, I collect that player, and even though it's a stupid card, it's still a player that I collect. You know what I mean? Like I think I have one in my collection that's like Ryan O'Reilly or something. And I'm like, well, all right, for $1, I'll buy it. Or, if it's a more popular player like Crosby or Ovechkin, yeah, sure, it's going to sell. But who cares about the tablecloth? Who cares about the carpet? At that point, I'd rather have a manufactured patch than a piece of some cloth that just happened to be in the same room as the person when they were signing the autograph or when they set the record or whatever. Like, who cares?
Well, that's the funny thing is it's that extra thing to, as you said, get you closer to the game and give you a piece of whatever. But you're right; these end up discounted, and they're usually fairly cheap comparably, because think about it. SP Game Used is usually 150, 170 a box most of the time, and I think there's 9 cards in a box. So what's that, 15, 16, 17 bucks a card?
Right.
And these things end up $5 or less most of the time, unless it's a big name player or something autographed. And many of them, depending on the pattern, they look like my chemistry teacher from high school's ties that he wore. They're like horrible patterns.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. To each their own. But anyway. Yeah. So long story short, I'm not buying Ovechkin crap. So there you go.
Well, no, I mean, I knew that because you're a Penguins fan and that's the enemy.
I just had to bring it back around full circle.
No, that's okay.
No, I respect the guy. I can respect the guy and still not like the team.
Oh, of course, yeah. I liked Steve Yzerman, but he played on the Red Wings, and so I couldn't like Steve Yzerman, but I admired him. I mean, he was a great player and made life hell for the Blackhawks for those years I was growing up and watching the Blackhawks. But I never did track down an Ovechkin Young Gun for my collection because it was always just a little bit more than I could, or actually pre 2020, it didn't matter if it was a $200 card or a $500 card. It was just something I couldn't afford. Like I was just so broke back then. Like I'd still go to shows, but I wouldn't bring a lot of money. And I was always more of the mindset of like, I'd rather get a lot of cards for my collection than just one card for my collection. Now it just seems that like, the prices have just gotten so out of hand. Like, 2021, people were clamoring for an Ovechkin Young Gun because they knew what was going to happen. So I just never found one that I could afford or one that I liked or one that I wanted. Or I'd be like, oh, how much is that? And he'd tell me, and I would think, okay, that's way more than what I think it should sell for. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, you can't have every card. You can have the cards that you want. If you really want an Ovechkin Young Gun, yeah, you could go all in on it, right? Like at the end of the day, I look at like spending money on an Ovechkin Young Gun or on like really vintage cards, and I think that I'd rather go for the really vintage cards. So I guess it's just what you like. Like we always say, collect what you like. But it was just never in my wheelhouse. I never really had an opportunity to buy one. At a price that I felt comfortable paying. And now that's probably not going to happen for a while. But who knows? Maybe in 10 years, when Ovechkin's retired, when the record is in the rearview mirror, and maybe prices have settled down a bit, who knows? Maybe my liquid income will be a little bit higher then. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, I can totally afford this, right?
Yeah, we were at the expo and we were shopping around, and Series 1 had just come out and it had those Young Guns renewed. And the Ovechkin one was going for $50. I remember. I'm like, come on, like it's not even like a real rookie card, And all of them were going for like 3 to 5 to 1, whatever it was. And so this has been happening for some time, where people saw this Ovechkin thing happening, and here we are. So I mean, the prices have been inflated around him for a while. I remember a few nationals ago where Sal, you got inundated with, "Do you have an Ovechkin rookie?" Which was only frozen by the whole Bedard incident. With the whole
Yeah,
Bedard.
yeah.
Only,
Yeah,
the
you're
whole
right.
Bedard, only the whole Bedard mania put Ovechkin on ice for a while, and now that it's kind of flipped over again.
Right. Yeah. Because Bedard's not a rookie anymore. And
Yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, he didn't have a great, he's on a team that didn't make the playoffs or do anything special, and
well, I heard that Bedard had the worst plus minus in the league last year. I don't know if that's true or not because I haven't looked it up.
I mean, he's on one of the worst teams. Of course he
he's on,
does.
and he has a lot of ice time, so that will happen.
Yeah, he has a lot of ice time. He's on the worst team or one of the worst teams in the league. He has a lot of ice time. He's put in all situations.
Yeah, he's on one of the teams with the worst goal differential in the league.
Yeah.
And he's out there killing minutes like crazy. So
Yeah.
of course he's gonna have a low, well, I guess it's not a high plus minus. Is it a high plus minus or a low minus?
Just a terrible plus minus.
Terrible plus minus.
But maybe the hobby will sort of excuse that, because his values, they've gone down, but not tremendously. Like, no one thinks he's a bust, is what I'm saying.
I think a lot of people think he's a bust. The people that are only in this for investing and they don't actually watch the game.
Well, it's too early, and those people don't. Yeah, they drive the market maybe, but their opinion is wrong. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Do
you have an Ovechkin rookie, Kalani?
I do, and I got mine in 2019. I bought it raw. I think I paid $450 for it.
Nice.
Which I thought at the time was like, okay, this is a lot of money. But I had it at the time, the money, and I thought, okay, let me get it because it's only going to go up. And I guess somebody would say, just sell it now. You could probably make your money back. I mean, I've since gotten it graded, and I got it so long ago that I actually got it graded BGS, if you can believe it.
Yeah, no, I did that too.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so, but I don't buy to flip or to invest or to, I want to get the cards of the players I like, the players I think are going to be good, or going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. And even like 5 years ago, I think we could have said, "Oh yeah, he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, record or no record." I mean, he was going to be in the top 10 scorers anyway, And I mean, the key is to try to find those players now, but not when they're fresh, not when they're like rookies. I mean, that's heavy speculation. I'm talking about a guy who's in the league 10 years. That's already something you can work with.
Right.
I have one as well. Mine's not graded. Mine's raw.
And you pulled it, or did you
I
buy
pulled
it?
it. Yes,
pulled it.
out of a box
That's
that
great.
I found at a table by random at a show.
That's
And
awesome.
so, if we're talking about how much we paid for one, I paid $50 for the box.
Mm.
So 192 cards in a box. I paid 26 cents for mine.
Pretty good.
So there you go.
Your return on investment is way better than
I
mine.
win.
You win
Yeah.
by a lot, but yeah. But and that's funny because that's a whole other sort of ball of wax in terms of buying. Pardon the pun. Buying boxes, because it's such a gamble now. The odds are getting worse and worse. Maybe then there was a chance, but now it just seems like I'd rather not buy wax and save my money to buy the bigger. You were saying, Sal, about like you wanted more cards at the time as opposed to fewer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in the fewer camp now. I feel like I don't want, and if I want a whole set, I can buy for $20. Like, you know what I mean? Like
And I'm with you there now. Like now my philosophy's changed because my collecting habits have changed.
right.
Do I like opening packs of cards? Yes. Do I like building sets? Kind of. I feel like it's really like a Sisyphus, the guy who was pushing the boulder up the hill.
A Sisyphean? Is that the word you're looking for?
Sisyphean. Thank you.
But you know what I mean, Sal?
Sisyphean task.
You know what I mean,
Yeah.
Sal? Like buying boxes doesn't help you get sets because of all the inserts and everything. So it's kind of it's fun, but it's also not the smartest way financially to try to make a set.
No.
Yeah, it's absolutely cost prohibitive for set building. I mean, perfect example is the last time we went to the LCS and decided to buy some boxes. I went one short. Usually I'll do 3. That pretty much guarantees the set plus some extras.
Right.
I only did 2, and I got one box missing 40 base cards.
Mm-hmm.
The second box had all the same ones in the first one, minus like 3.
Ugh.
So I still need a big chunk of the base.
Right.
And it's usually that third box that puts you over, but I didn't do it. And
Tim, we're talking flagship here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
O-Pee-Chee's the same way, so is MVP.
Right.
If you do 2, you're usually still short. If you do 3, that generally covers it. You will have dupes, but you'll generally cover it up. O-Pee-Chee you won't get because there's too many. But yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. And it's fun to do. Those are ones that I would do to build on my own, but nothing else. Anything else, I would just buy it. All the smaller 100, 200 card sets. Those would be the ones you just have to go and buy.
I found a base set of Series 1 at the expo for $25. And I remember, Clemente, we were both looking for a Series 1 base set, and this was after you had left. And I was just killing time until
And he knew where it was, and he hoarded it.
No, I had a few. I was at the expo a couple hours longer, and I just happened to come across a table that I either hadn't seen before or didn't notice before, and the guy had base sets for like $25, and I'm like, well, Series 1, I got a hobby box and like 3 blaster boxes and didn't build the set. And then at that point, I'm like, well, I still need 20 or 30 cards or something stupid, because the blasters gave me the same cards. 2 of them were identical. And I'm just like, all right, this is stupid. I'll just buy the dang base set. So yeah, I agree. You pay the big money for the big rookie card, and then you get the rest of the rookie cards on e-pack, and then you buy a base set at a show when you can. And I'm good with that. And the other thing too is that back then it was different. Upper Deck Series 1 in 0506 and Series 2, you could buy 2 boxes and finish your set. You could buy 3 boxes and you'd probably make 2 base sets, right? And that would give you 18 Young Guns, and you'd have 2 base sets. Maybe the collation wouldn't line up, but usually it did. 3 boxes, 2 boxes was good, 3 boxes was ideal. But now with the collation being different, and then also with more people buying hockey cards for investment reasons, that drives up the prices, that drives up the demand, and then you're paying more to basically try to do the same thing, and it's like it's harder to do. Before we get to Series 2, because that's why we're here, let's talk about the Ovechkin buyback Young Gun that's going to be in extended series. Because I opined in the newsletter, is this something that's going to save extended series? I guess this extended series needs saving, kind of, because it languishes.
Well, look, we've talked about that on the show many times, and the headline of that story would have been "Make Extended Great Again," though it was never great. But my big joke to you guys was, so I can't get a box of this stuff for $60 at the National anymore on the David Adams like clearance table, because that's what this box ends up happening. It comes out like in June probably, and by like the end of July, like nobody wants it. All the good rookies are saved for Series 1 the next year. All the good rookies for this year will probably be in Series 2. So whatever, it's that weird nebulous in between. And when I heard about the Ovechkin, I'm like, oh yeah, now everybody's gonna buy this because of that 1 in a million shot at getting this Ovechkin autograph, which I guess they bought back some of his Young Guns cards and then had him autograph them and then inserted them in the packs, and that's how they're going to get back to the public. Look, it's genius by Upper Deck because it makes extended relevant. Because even we don't care about it, and we collect sets. We build flagship, and even we don't care because it's no chase. There's nothing in there for us. And I know it's a 1 in a million, but I think it will totally help sales of extended. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's double the price, triple the price. You can't get it. It's going to become like a Bedard situation, probably.
Well, right now they're pre-selling for 120, and they've held at 120 for about a week. Like, the price hasn't gone up yet. And usually like 120 is that price that like most of the time they seem to pre-sell at, and then they kind of go up or down from there.
Well, because the odds are really not in your favor at all. Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, eight total copies of the Young Gun buyback autographed by Ovechkin.
And it's across the board between the physical boxes and an e-pack.
Right.
So if you think about the sheer volume of this, I mean, they're not going to cut back on what they're produced already for 24-25. I mean, Series 1, there's a ton. Series 2, there's a ton. There's going to be a ton of extended. So your odds are like 1 out of, what did I say when we were talking about 1 out of 7,452,000 packs?
Yeah.
That's probably not off. I bet that's ballpark.
It's like a lotto ticket. I mean, literally like the lotto,
But that's ballpark.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be crazy if if one of those cook groups that's on EPAC, like pulled all of them on EPAC?
One of those what groups?
One of those cook groups.
Cook groups?
Yeah. Cook groups. Don't they still call them that? The groups of people that go together and try to like bring down the system by getting all the free stuff as quickly as possible.
Never heard that. You're saying cook, COOK?
Yes.
Huh.
Unless they spell it different. I don't know. I'm not cool, so.
Oh.
Yeah. There's groups that they pound the crap out of EPAC when new product hits to try to get all the stuff as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you saw like the gold outbursts. There's like 1 or 2 users that have all the gold outbursts.
Do you guys think they put it on EPAC because they want people to go on EPAC? Or do you think because production's already in the works, they couldn't insert them all in the packs, or at least more than one of them? What do you think is the case? Because I wondered that myself.
Depends on if you buy into
what's the conspiracy theory?
The conspiracy theory.
Well, what is it, Tim? Come on.
I mean, look, we still haven't seen that 1-of-1 Bedard, right?
No.
The $1 million bounty that went poof.
That's a mystery.
Yeah, we still haven't seen it pop up anywhere.
Oh.
So we don't know if it's in physical product or not. But think about how many people bought this and just sat on it because they were waiting to see. It could still be sealed, or it could be sitting in EPAC.
Wouldn't it be great if someone in 20 years opened like a box or a case and was like, there it is. It was in that case the whole time, which could be.
Yeah. And Upper Deck swore that specific one would not be an EPAC, but a bunch of the other ones got pulled. So.
Yeah. Well, if somebody bought a box and they sat on it for 20 years and they opened it and the Bedard Young Gun, one of one gold outburst, was in that box, it'd probably be bricked by then.
Mm.
Possibility.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I have no incentive to want to like hold on to like packs unless I'm just going to keep the pack sealed just to have a sealed pack of cards. I have like a couple unopened boxes of like Stadium Club from like the 90s, and Tim was like, yeah, don't bother. They're going to be bricked. So there's no real point. The newer stuff is all glossy on both sides. And yeah, I'm just not that keen on the idea of holding on to these cards.
I'm sure at some point that somebody will come out and they'll say, "Oh yeah, it's in EPAC, but we only put one in EPAC, or we only put two in EPAC." Okay, well now everybody that's buying product, that's even less of an odd, or even higher odds of you being able to pull it out of the physical product.
Well, the one negative about putting it in an e-pack is that the breakers, that doesn't do it for them. Obviously, they need to buy physical product and break it. And the moment that one gets pulled, then extended becomes like it was last year, $60. Nobody cares.
Yeah, unless there's a rookie in there. Unless there's a rookie that pops off.
Well, unless we don't know, no checklist yet. So that's true. We don't know yet. Yeah, exactly.
Will Smith is going to be the big rookie in extended series because he wasn't in series 2.
I thought Will Smith was in series 1, no?
No, he's not in one, but he had that weird young gun. He was sharing one with Celebrini. That's like I don't know why he did that.
Like the teammates.
Yeah, that one doesn't count.
Yeah, that was like yeah. But then you're right. I don't know if he's not in series 2. Then will they hold him for series 1 next year? Seems late. He
No.
could be.
Nah.
He could be an extended then.
No, he's going to be an extended because this is his rookie season.
That's not enough to drive. Because who was an extended last year that was pretty good? I can't remember now, and it didn't do anything. It didn't like move the needle. So I don't know.
Well, it didn't matter because the Bedard Canvas was an extended series.
And that didn't matter either. Exactly.
And the Bedard first round rookie was in extended series, and that didn't really. Although last year's extended series hasn't really dropped that much in value and price. It's still like over $100 a box. I think it's like 105 or something for like a 12-pack box of cards. It's not like $60 like 2021 or like 15 for like a retail box.
But I think $105 for a box of wax is considered cheap now. But you're right. Like the last Chicago National, there were boxes of extended for 60. And what was that? 2 years ago. So yeah, maybe so maybe that $60 price point isn't going to happen. But $105 is considered dirt cheap now for wax, which is kind of crazy, considering that where we're at. But it's interesting. I think that it does make us talk about extended that we would have probably not talked about until it came out.
Right.
And maybe we would have ignored it. I don't remember us ever doing a deeper dive on extended in terms of that year's extended. Maybe we did, but it's just not that exciting because it's like, well, this is sort of what's, the remaining guys. And, and for the set builders, we care, but there aren't that many of us, as Tim always likes to point out. So it makes it interesting to see because there's 8 of these Ovies out there. People are going to keep a tally, and we'll see between EPAC and the physical stuff how many are pulled, and hopefully we get to see some of these because, like you mentioned, the Bedard outburst. We've never seen that one. So
yeah, that's a nice thing about like collecting, having such a presence online now, is that if the cards got pulled, people would brag about it, people would post pictures, and then somebody would be taking notes, and then eventually it would become like part of like the greater knowledge that like, okay, 6 of these autographed Ovechkin cards have already been pulled, or like once all 8 of them are pulled, if that happens, then the price of the box would go down because that would be the it card or the lotto ticket, if you will. But once that's gone, then there's like no hope of getting that. And then it's just like, well, okay, so this will just be to complete my set and not to get a super rare Ovechkin autograph. You guys want to talk about Series 2?
Let's do it.
I got a hobby box. Did you guys get any Series 2 yet?
I got a box of it.
Tim?
Yep.
I was happy to buy a box because last year I couldn't buy Series 2.
I know, right? Okay, so right now, Hobby Box of Upper Deck Series 2, you get 12 packs in a hobby box. Right now, it's selling for about $130 online. You get 12 cards per pack. Each pack has 9 base cards and 3 insert cards. You get a lot of inserts in a pack, and I like that. And then you get 6 Young Guns per box, and there are a ton of inserts. I'm just going to rattle off a few of these. I'm not going to list out that there are red and black and gold. There's just multiple colors in most of these. We have 94-95 rookies die cut, bang for your puck, day with the cup, which are hard to get, dazzlers, electricity, like city, like city, phantomation, which are also hard to get, fluorescence, of course, in a different colored parallels, incarnations, which are EPAC only, on a heater, on tour, ooh la la, O-Pee-Chee glossy, outburst retro young guns, so like of past rookie cards of famous players, playlist, population count, rookie class, which are Target exclusives, UD Canvas and UD Canvas Black and White, UD Portraits, Welcome Aboard, White House Visit, and the Young Guns Renewed. And there's probably a couple others in there that I'm missing, but that seems to be about the gist of it. Obviously, the base design we've talked about before. I think we all said, it looks good. I mean, whatever, when it was for Series 1. What do you think? Any of the inserts stand out to you, or anything about the set stand out to you as something that you particularly like?
You said like, so I can't answer.
Okay.
The inserts stand out to me, but some of them, these are some of the, they're just a reach. Total reach, but that's okay.
I'll say the only inserts I like are the same ones from Series 1, which are the Young Guns Renewed. And I finished the ones from Series 1. I needed like 3 or 4 more, and I went on ComC and got those like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like $5, whatever. So I like those because I just like the whole idea. I like the art and everything, and we spoke about them during Series 1, and they're really cool, and I like those. So I'll probably end up trying to chase those again.
All right, I got a beef with those before you go on.
Yeah, what's the beef?
I like them. I think they're cool.
Yeah.
I want them. But why did they renumber them? I don't understand.
Right. They should have continued them. Yeah, I agree. That made it weird. Like, as if they're not part of the same set.
Yeah, because Series 1, they were numbered YGR-1 through whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would have made sense to keep that up for anyone building the set that keeps some continuity. You know, those of us that, I don't know, put them in pages.
I put them in pages, the Series 1 ones, but I don't think inserts ever continue, right? Because
Yeah, they do. Portraits do.
Then they should
The
have.
Dazzlers do. Canvas does.
Yeah. So that's kind of
But
a weird
these, they do
oversight.
YGR whatever, and then for the new ones, they just left them the number that they were in the original set. So if it was number 201, it's 201, or if it was 401, it's 4 or 4.
Yeah, no, that is
whatever.
A little weird.
I don't understand why they did that.
And
there has to be a reason.
Yeah, unless they weren't thinking. I know that the McDavid one is the one everybody wants, obviously, and this one. But eventually I'll get all of them on ComC or at the National or a combination of both, and that's how I'll finish it. That set. And then, I do like, the design we spoke about that when we talk about Series 1. And by the time Series 2 rolls around, it's not about what I like or don't like. It's more about, in my case, I want to just complete it now. I want to just get the commons. I want to get the base and then kind of chip away at the Young Guns. And you kind of try to figure out, okay, some of these guys are probably not going to go far or haven't had a great season, so they're cheap. But then there's like the one, like the Celebrini one that was very expensive when the set first came out. And then now it's kind of taking a bit of a nosedive, but I still haven't bought it. But I did pull the Teammates one, which I was happy with Celebrini and Will Smith.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I got my 4 Young Guns and my 2 Young Guns teammates. I got one of Cutter Gauthier and Olen Zellweger. And then on Montreal, Logan Melou and Lane Hudson. Probably botched that first guy's name, but whatevs.
Close enough. Logan Melou.
Celebrini's on 3 different Young Guns because he also has the checklist.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has a solo one. So
that makes sense.
He's everywhere. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, number 1 draft pick, and he had a good season.
What do you think of the teammates? Did you get any teammates, Tim?
I think I got the Hudson one.
I guess here's the thing. Sometimes they tried to do 50-50 and 50 Young Guns, and they couldn't do it. So then they come up with different ideas to try to pad out the Young Guns because they want to do 50-50 and 50. And, they would do like the first round rookies. Well, I know like the one year they only did 30 Young Guns in extended series. And then they tried like doing other things, trying to pad it out. I don't necessarily mind this. I know people don't consider this a rookie card or whatever, so it's still a Young Gun and it's still short printed, but it's not these pictured players rookie card for whatever reason people want to make up in their mind, because people they'll make whatever reason to explain why it is or isn't a rookie card, and I just get tired of that.
Well, I mean, without getting into the whole discussion because
Yeah.
it's endless.
You're right.
It was a way to probably push some other Young Guns to extend it. Because remember, if I recall, we did a podcast episode where we had caught a glimpse on Reddit of a photo of the checklist, and then we couldn't read the last few ones.
Yep.
And we didn't know
that was for Series 2.
Yeah, we didn't know about the teammates on there until then the checklist finally came out. So we thought we had all kinds of theories about like what is that last card or whatever, those last two or whatever. And it turns out this teammates is a good idea. What I don't like about it is it's only a few teams, and could you do it for all the teams then? And is it a new thing, or will we never see it again? It just felt like a padding out. I thought it was cool when I pulled mine, but at the same time I thought, okay, maybe they need to do some parallels of it, autographs. I don't know, something that's going to make this more desirable. Because I agree with you, it's probably not worth more than $10, for any of them, because it kind of reminded me of those baseball cards from the 70s and 80s where you had like two photos of a player, like two rookies on the same card.
Yep.
And then one of them would go on to become a Hall of Fame. The other guy is like, who's that guy?
Right.
We may get some of those, which will be interesting in 10, 20 years.
Like the Nolan Ryan, Jerry Kuzman one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best example.
There's a million of them, especially the ones with the 4 players on them. Then you like, oh, who are these other guys? And I'm sure those guys tell everyone in their family, hey, look, I'm on a rookie card with Nolan Ryan. Or
isn't like Paul Molitor and Robin Yount on the same card?
They are, but that's pretty rare, right? To have two, and so the teammates idea is good. It's different. But again, the hobby doesn't respond to that as a rookie card, or, it means a rookie year insert. Take that for what it's worth. But it doesn't move the needle because the Young Gun is, the Young Gun solo is the iconic one. I mean, I've always been kind of surprised how even the checklist doesn't do well, because usually both players on the checklist are pretty good.
Right.
And the percentage, it's like, I've done the math like over the years, it's worth like 10% or 5% of the solo Young Gun. So if it's a $100 card, it's like $5 or $10. And that's like when it's hot. And then even then it's like, oh, you get that card for $10 like 10 years later. Like it doesn't move much from there. But look, they're trying something different. I'm not against that. And I just wish they did it for maybe all the teams, but then that's too much padding. And I get that too. And maybe hoarding some rookies for extended is not a bad idea, given that we just talked about how bland that product usually is.
Well, that screenshot thing came from like the Diamond Dealer convention.
That's right.
And yeah, it was cut off, but everybody surmised as they read it. That's back to the Will Smith thing. That's how we found out Will Smith was going to be in extended, because he wasn't there. He already wasn't in one. So,
and we thought, oh, are they sharing the Young Guns? Remember, we thought, yeah.
So, yeah. So I thought of something positive while we were talking.
Hobby positivity with Tim.
Yeah, I will say I don't mind the on tour insert.
Okay.
Those ones fall like one every 5 packs or so.
Yeah.
They look like rock posters. I can do without the speckled and foil and blue, green.
Oh, come on, shiny cards. Shiny cards.
Yeah, I can get down with those. I can appreciate the music crossover related cards, like the amped up ones from Metal Universe a few years ago, or those guitar pick ones. Being a quasi musician, I can appreciate some of that.
How about playlist?
I kind of felt like the playlist ones were weird.
At first, I thought it was like a collectible card, gaming card. Like it kind of
It's exactly what I thought too.
Yeah, it looks like an
They
MVP.
look
Yeah,
they look like the mascot cards from MVP.
yeah, with the
totally.
yeah, and then I
Totally.
looked at it and like so. So I know I always want to
I
say
had to stare at the card for 5 minutes to go, is this a Zune?
no, because the Zune had like the little cross dial, like the little cross for the up. It didn't have like the spin wheel. So I always say, I always think I could do a better job than I don't want to diss the designer who designed this card. But see, here's the thing: you got this card. Okay, the one that I got is Sebastian Aho. At the top, it says playlist, and it has like underneath playlist, it has like a little scroll bar. So it looks like it's like playing like we're like 10 seconds into the song. Okay, that's cool. Then it's got the picture of Aho, and he's in front of like this shiny kind of like cloud background. And then underneath it, it's got his name, the team name, and it's got the play button, a fast forward button, a rewind button. Okay. So I guess you could either say this looks like a iPod. Yeah, like an iPod. I almost had to think of the words because it's been so long since I've used my iPod. It looks like an iPod, or maybe it looks like the on-screen display for something like Spotify. The thing is my problem is I feel like they never take these ideas far enough. So on the back of the card, it says here, Aho recorded a career high 89 points in 23-24 with the Carolina Hurricanes, his third career 80-point campaign and fifth 30-goal season. That tidbit of information could be on any Sebastian Aho card. This is called playlists. It should be what their goal song is, because a lot of these players have their own goal song when they score a goal. Not saying every player does that, and some teams just play a song, a particular song, when, like, is it still Party Hard for the Penguins by Andrew WK?
It was last year.
See, and I would write something about that.
They tried to change it and everybody revolted, so they changed it
Wow,
back.
it's not that good of a song. I mean, I love that song, but it's like, it's
Yeah, but when you score a goal and you hear it come on and everybody just goes crazy,
right,
that's
right. So I would say
that's the
something
whole
like
point.
Penguins fans got to, party hard a lot when Crosby had 40 goals last year or whatever, right? Like I would tie it in there somehow. The front, I feel like, needs to look a little bit more like what it's supposed to look like, and it doesn't, right? And I get it. They don't want to like just take the Spotify player and make it exactly look like that. But then like even behind the player, why not put like sound waves? You know what I mean? Like the visualization of like a sound pattern. Or like you ever see like when you do like a full screen of like your music player and it just does like a visualization, and I guess that's what it's trying to look like the random clouds behind it. So like I like this idea, but I just kind of want it to be more about the thing, right? Like if it's called playlists, make it be about music. That would be totally interesting instead of just saying he scored a bunch of goals last year. Whoop-de-doo. I can tell that from his regular card that lists his statistics. So it was good, could be better.
I will say this. I know we live in the like AI chat GBT age, but the back of some of these cards look like they could have been written by a computer. Like there's nothing there. And maybe they just assume nobody reads the backs anymore because, people have the internet and they don't read the backs. But I agree with you. That would almost make it interesting. And the backs of cards have not been interesting in 30 years because people don't get information anymore. But they're still putting this kind of boilerplate language behind the cards. And look, if they put no writing behind the cards, it would be weird to have like, oh, then it would look like a gaming card, totally like a Pokemon card. But otherwise, I feel like get creative. Like maybe the player has like his own like pre-game routine music he listens to, or like the goal one is even easier because that's a public thing. Everyone knows what that is, and you can easily look that up.
Right.
But if the NHLPA is involved with this, and we know they are, you can get a little bit more personal with some of the stuff on the cards. And I think it would be interesting because I think people who do read the backs would get noticed, and maybe those things would get pick up on Instagram or on X because people would say, "Hey, look at the back of this card. It says like this guy likes this song, or or he does this, or he recorded a song, or whatever, anything music related." I know that would be work. Like that's a lot of work. And maybe they just are like, look, we're churning out so many sets. we just have to have something on the back of these cards. And the fact is, if they printed the same thing on the back of every card, would anybody notice? It's the kind of thing. But I like your idea, Sal, and it wouldn't be that much more work. And if you do it selectively, you don't have to do it on every insert on every card, because that becomes difficult. But if you're going to go as far as this, create a design and a theme, then, like you said, go further with it. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the goal song idea is a good idea.
Yeah.
That should be a card. Because every team has a goal song, whether it's an individual player or not. So if you make a set with one player from every team and just do the goal song, whatever it is.
And the insert set's called playlist, and make it look more like, could look like an iPad, or it could look like an on-screen player or something, just kind of push that design a little bit further, right? Like it kind of, if we look at this and think it looks like a Pokemon card, it's doing it wrong.
And if you have the player on the front and on the back, a little write up, and in like the image in the background is the artist that did the song.
Nah, because then they'd have to get the rights to the artist. They'd have to get sign off from the record company. Yeah.
Come on, how many artists would be like, heck yeah, I'll be on a trading card?
Nah, it gets more complicated than that.
Well, find like 5 or 6, and then you can get dual autographs.
I mean, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. You could get your Sidney Crosby, Andrew WK dual autograph.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm looking at like another one of these insert sets that I want to talk about, and it's called Welcome Aboard.
Oh God, please don't bring that one up.
Okay, so I get it. They're rookies, right?
Oh, you mean the Gilligan's Island one?
Oh, I was thinking Love Boat.
I was thinking Love Boat.
Yeah, Love Boat, yeah, or Gilligan's Island.
And I will tell you this, when we were opening these, my wife absolutely hates those cards.
Why?
Hates with a passion. Because she thinks they're the dumbest idea she's ever seen.
Okay. I mean,
so
okay, I get it.
I don't disagree with her.
I guess the first thing, I get that they're rookies and it's called Welcome Aboard. And so, yeah, and there's a lot, and I get it. They're coming onto a boat and there's like water. Well, like the background of the card is like foil, like blue rainbowy foil of like water. And then it's got like a life preserver. And then it's got the player, like it's almost like a frame around the player, the life preserver. And I remember like in the Love Boat, like when they do like the introductions, I believe they were like in the round window of like a boat. I didn't really watch the Love Boat. It was just kind of one of those shows that I'd like watch when I just had the TV on in the background, or when like something I really wanted to watch was coming on after that or whatever. But I look at this and I say it's a life preserver. What does a life preserver do? It saves lives, right? It saves, right? So
from drowning.
Right. So when I see something that makes saves, I think of goalies. And I think this would have been great if it was a goalie set, right? Because goalies make saves and life preservers make saves. And I think that would have been more fun if I don't know what I'd call it, but see, then I could connect those two things in my mind. But this just kind of seems like, welcome aboard, kid. We're going to throw you in the deep end. Here's a life preserver. Hey, Cutter, welcome to the Flyers. We're going to throw you in the deep end and we're going to give you this life preserver and you can paddle your way back to shore.
I just think this was a big swing and a miss. I don't know. I get what they're trying to do, but they're being way too cute.
Hey, and I just realized something, that this pictures Cutter Gauthier as a Flyer, but he got traded to the Ducks because he didn't want to play for the Flyers. So, wow, that's like a double negative. It's like, hey, we drafted you, but yeah, wow, that's...
I wonder if that also means that they did those inserts like way ahead of time or something. Why would you pull a photo? Unless it was a draft photo. It's very strange.
Got to be a draft photo.
I've looked all these up and I've looked up all the pictures because I really wanted somebody to do the old Ted Lance in their picture with the 2-finger point. No one did. So
because they're probably using like headshots from the team, or they took their own headshots, but no one's doing anything cute. You're right. Like, it's not.
Well, if you're gonna be goofy like this and do something goofy card design wise, might as well go all in. I mean, they do photo variants of everything else. Do a photo variant of that with everybody like showing up like the Love Boat theme.
Yeah, I totally get that, but it's funny how like these inserts are often referred to as like fun inserts, but they're not having too much fun with them. Like it's we call them fun inserts, but they're not that fun.
No.
Because none of the people featured on these cards were alive when the Love Boat was on, so they have no idea the reference.
No, it's not even a '90s thing. It's like an '80s thing. I mean, like yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, the only way you know what Love Boat is if you were old enough to remember watching that on Saturday nights with Fantasy Island and other stuff.
Oh
I'm
my
old enough to
God.
remember that. I was a very small child, but I remember that.
Who can forget?
But no one. But you're right.
Like the song is now in my head because we're talking about it.
Yeah. No, I totally.
Love, exciting and new.
I totally agree with you, but it's just the kind of thing where maybe they weren't looking to do that. I mean, I will tell you this: I actually did meet one of the actors from the Love Boat once in my life. So,
Who?
I was working at the New York Post, and Ted Lang showed up. And if you don't know who that is, he wore the red jacket, and he was the bartender on the Love Boat. And he was
okay.
yeah, and he was hawking his own Kahlua. And I remember saying to him, like, hey, I used to love watching The Love Boat as a kid. And I said, I'm like one of the few people in the world who's watch The Love Boat both in English. And then in the summer, I would watch it in Italian, dubbed over when I was on vacation to visit my family. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm big in Italy, which is very funny. It was like David Hasselhoff saying he was big in Germany. But he signed a photo for
Was
me
big
and
in
everything.
Germany.
Yeah. So Ted Lang is, he's okay in my book. But I agree
Do
with
you remember? This is totally getting off.
We're way off topic now.
We're off the boat.
Do you remember when Ted Lang was like co-author of that relationship column with Jenna Jameson in Maxim magazine?
Oh, yes. How can I forget
Yes.
that?
It's like,
Yeah.
who do you want to get relationship advice from? Well, I mean, easily. The bartender Isaac from the Love Boat and a porn star. Why wouldn't you?
Well, I think, it's funny because I do think Ted Lang really leaned into the whole, like, I'm a bartender and people tell me about their problems so I can give
Yeah.
advice, which is,
Yeah, why not?
and by the way, I'm an actor, so I don't know any of this, but it is funny. I remember he stuck out because he wore the red jacket. Everybody else wore the white. They were all wearing white jackets, because they were all like part of the crew. But anyway, I think you're right. Upper Deck, as much as I like the retro stuff, I don't know if they were looking for a Love Boat connection, but I don't get the whole life preserver thing. And if you're not going to do goalies, then it kind of doesn't make sense. I would love to be like a fly on the wall at Upper Deck when they come up with these ideas, because it may be a good idea like in the creative process, but then the execution, there's a bit of a gap there, I think, in terms of like, hey, we had this great idea in the office, and then once we kind of put the photos together and printed them out, it wasn't so good. Maybe that's what's going on here. There's a little bit of a disconnect between the original idea and the execution.
But they did make the goalie set, and it's called Ooh La La. What is that even referencing?
Oh.
I don't know.
Like, I tried to rack my brain for a minute. Like, when we started pulling those, I'm like, what even is this? And that was another one my wife was not a fan of. And so then I started thinking, I'm like, I've never heard that term used. So I just started like Googling it. Like, is this a hockey term?
No.
Do goalies talk about this? Like, is this some unwritten thing?
No, is it like a very dated sexist term? Like, I don't know.
I don't know what it's in reference to. I really don't. They're all goalies. It's an interesting design of like a net.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the reference.
Those cards, and even the previous ones you showed, when I was opening Series 2, I kept thinking, boy, these inserts look more and more like something I'd see in MVP. Like, I don't know what's going on. It's almost like this MVP type insert is making its way into like all their products, especially Flagship. Maybe this is their way of like making Flagship more fun, because remember the big thing was like, oh, you open Flagship and then you open these packs where it's just all base cards in the pack. They want to get away from that.
That was depressing.
It was depressing. But then the anecdote to that is this. And so we can't complain about this too much either.
It's more like what we're seeing in Skybox and Ultra now. The Ultra that they release as e-pack only has all sorts of goofy inserts in it. And it seems like Skybox does too. Yeah, save that stuff for over there. I don't want it here.
Yeah. I don't even mind the abundance of inserts. I don't even mind if they're inserts that I don't like. What I do mind is that every insert has parallel versions that nobody really asked for, right? Like, you said like you like the band posters or the on tour posters, but you don't need the speckled version. And I look at like these goalie cards, these ooh la las, and I go, yeah, this is kind of a cool design. I don't really need the speckled version either. I mean, I'm not going to collect these either way. I could see if somebody collects goalies or if they collect certain players. Sure. But I mean, it's like, and then there's like what, 50 or 30, or there's a lot of all of these.
Yeah, Welcome Aboard has speckle and black versions. I think the other ones have speckled and black versions.
I got a fluorescence and it was numbered out of 50. And I go, oh, it's a blue parallel. And I go, oh, that's kind of neat. It's numbered out of 50. And then I got like a black version of an UD portrait, but it's like, so what? Like it's black. It's just, it looks less cool than the blue foily version.
I pulled a red on tour.
Okay.
It's numbered out of 99.
Oh, that's nice. And then like I look at like when we talked about the interesting photos, and the interesting photos just get saved for canvas. The really unique, either where the player is doing something fun or there's something fun going on in the scene. That's kind of what canvas is now.
What would be cool if they did it? If they did like a parallel of a base card. So they do that in Topps Baseball. They'll have a base card, but then they'll have the parallel version where the player is clearly doing something that doesn't look like a normal card. Like it has a stadium club feel to it or something.
Mm-hmm.
That would be at least a variation of a base card that is short printed.
We already have the photo variants.
But then they would make 27 parallels of that, and we don't want that either. But I feel like, I never got excited about canvas. Like I was never excited about that. I don't know why. That never did anything for me. And it has its limitations, obviously, as a card because of the quality of the paper. They can't do too much with it. I mean, maybe if they numbered them, it'd be something that you could chase. But otherwise, I know they want to move away from base cards. These are all inserts no one's asking for. Like, there's no focus group. There's nobody out there saying like, oh man, I wish I had like a photo of like McDavid with a life preserver on his head. Like no one said that ever. So I don't really understand where they're getting some of these ideas.
What if there is a focus group?
And this is what they're getting?
Who is in this focus group? That's what I want to know.
I don't know, because the hobby, Sal mentioned earlier, the hobby is so public now on Instagram and social media. Upper Deck knows what people like and don't like almost like year to year. And no one's going out there going like, man, have you seen this Life Preserver series? Like, I can't get enough of this. Like, nobody's saying that. And some stuff, sticks around. I mean, like portraits. Like, we didn't talk about that this time, But portraits is something that is alive every year after year. And it's not getting better. It's just getting weirder.
Right.
I think they backed off a little bit from last year. Last year was off the rails.
The one with the weird like Louis the 16th.
Yeah.
Oh, portraits. You're talking about portraits.
The portrait. Yeah, the portraits.
Yeah,
the actual portraits.
Yeah.
Those were a little off the rails. This year they brought it back and did a little more Art Deco type design with the broken out squares.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was a little more
modern.
And somewhat eye appealing, I guess. But yeah, portraits comes back every year. The population counts come back every year. They basically look the same. Dazzlers, I honestly can't tell one year from the next.
This year's a little different, though.
Yeah, I mean, slightly, but
yeah,
still.
I gotcha.
You line them all up next to each other, you're like, okay, sure. Those keep coming back because for whatever reason they seem to be, I guess, popular. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, they're almost like a brand. People expect them in flagship now.
Yeah. Honestly, if you got rid of any of them any year, if next year you got rid of portrait for some reason, I don't know that people would go crazy and be mad.
No.
I don't think they would get irate and flip their lids.
I think the only thing that people are really attached to are canvas. There are people who build canvas. There are people who look for the canvas inserts.
Yeah. It's like an extension of the base.
Kind of, but no, not really.
It's like a whole different set because they're all different. The photography's different.
Yeah.
They're all sequentially numbered.
Yeah.
It's not an overburdensome set to put together. By the time Series 2 comes out, they add in like the program of excellence. And what I like is the retired ones. I think those are cool because they always do a bang up job with the photos they choose for the retired
Mhm.
canvas ones. And it's usually photos that you haven't seen before
Right.
or rarely have seen, at least on a card.
Mhm.
Like the year they used the picture of Mario Lemieux sitting with the penguins at the zoo, Pittsburgh Zoo.
Oh, I love that one.
Like you've seen the picture before,
Yep.
just not on a card.
Right.
And so the fact that they used that on a card, or I think last year, or the year before, one of the years, there was a picture of Ken Moreau holding up the Stanley Cup. Like I've seen that picture, just not on a card.
Right.
And so that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool when you see a picture, like when it's a famous photo, but you've never seen it on a card. And I also think it's cool.
Right.
You don't see this too often, but when you see like an old photo that was like used on a Topps card, once in a while you'll see a card and you'll go, "Oh, that was used on this player's other card from the 70s or the 80s or whatever." So it's kind of cool when you see that happen. But yeah, I think other than the canvas, I mean, these new Young Guns Renewed seem to be popular. And of course, the parallels like the clear cuts and the outbursts, I mean, those are here to stay. And that's fine. I mean, those are the parallels that people seem to really like. But I think as far as like these insert sets go, yeah, you're right. Most of these do feel very MVP like. We're like, we're being silly, right? On a heater and ooh la la and electricity as in city, right?
Let's be honest, MVP doesn't even go that crazy.
No.
No, it's true.
Although who did Thrill Rides? Was that MVP or was that Synergy? I can't remember.
It wasn't MVP.
No, it had to be Synergy.
Synergy, yeah.
It had like the roller coaster, yeah.
Yep, Synergy was in Throw Ride.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, look, in the 90s we would have loved any of these because they would have been so fresh and different, and we would have loved the foil, and we would have loved just the extra time that it would have taken to like cut out the player and stuff. But then by like the mid 90s we really kind of got that a lot. And now it's just kind of old, kind of just doesn't really do much. Like you said, move the needle.
Yeah, I will say about the renewed, given the checklist, I feel like it's a one-off because I can't imagine there's anybody good to feature next year.
Get a different artist to do different interpretations
Yeah,
of the Young
that's
Guns.
the only
turns
way.
into Project 2020, but for hockey.
Well,
Right.
a stealth version of that for sure. But yeah, otherwise, because you have McDavid now in Series 2 and Draisaitl and Kucherov and Forsberg, and you have all Sebastian Aho. You have all these guys now that I mean, minus Bedard, they pretty much redid all the really good ones. The Series 1 had Ovechkin and others. Yeah, maybe get a different artist. I think that was at least different. I could appreciate that because it was a card, an image that we're all familiar with, but a different take on it, different spin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that. But otherwise, some of the other stuff we mentioned is just too esoteric for me, too far out, every time I get a card like that, I'm like, okay, this is another base card I could have used for my set. Now it's just another insert I'm going to give away or put on Comp C,
Right.
or sell or whatever, or because I just don't care, and I don't think anybody really cares. And I get it. It's just a really fine dance. I appreciate that kind of stuff in the other products, just not in flagship. I feel like flagship needs to be, somehow Topps Baseball's figured out a happy medium, in terms of the product they put out. That's traditional. It's flagship. And I feel like you need that for hockey. Upper Deck needs to preserve that for hockey somehow. And if it's kind of bringing back some of the older designs somehow as inserts, I know that's been done, but I would appreciate that more because Upper Deck has now 30 plus years of designs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'll get your wish and extended for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I know that baseball leans on that big time. I mean, we know that.
And that's basically what extended is founded upon,
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that it's jam-packed with inserts and they're all retro design ones.
Right.
So, guys, any last thoughts about Upper Deck Series 2 before we wrap it up?
I have one thought. If you're in the market for a Celebrini card, which I've been looking at, it's gone from $500 to $130. He's not going to get the Calder, I think. It'll probably go to Lane Hudson. So we're talking about that in the show prep with Tim, that, nothing like giving the Calder to a defenseman. The hobby loves that.
Mm-hmm.
Sarcasm. And so what I would do is I probably end up getting my Celebrini at the National probably for $50 at this point because he's not playing. the Sharks are not in the playoffs, obviously, and there's no needle moving. And if he doesn't win the Calder, it doesn't. But just to show you an example of like a card of a hot rookie that as soon as it comes out, everyone gets FOMO, and then slowly it becomes like it levels off, which is the one thing Bedard never did. Like Bedard was like $1,200 out of the gate, and then it went down, but it took a very long time, and it was a whole process. And so it was kind of nice to see like a normal rookie with a normal amount of hobby love by hockey collectors, not outside people who just came in, try to flip the card. I mean, so it was kind of nice to see like a normal progression as opposed to this overhyped. Folks, just a year ago, this was happening. It feels like 20, but it was just a year ago that there was like the hype machine was in full effect. People were talking about Bedard all the time, and now no one's talking about it. So I would say don't get FOMO, wait some more. And the summer's a great time to pick up stuff like this because hockey's kind of outside of the people's radar. Just the collectors like us are looking for hockey, but otherwise no one is paying attention.
And the other thing too, we usually talk about, what else is in there other than that guy, so obviously Celebrini's in here, but if you look at at least for a regular season, if you look at the rookie scorers, you take the top 20 rookie scorers as far as points, obviously Lane Hudson's at the top of that, but Celebrini's third. He's in Series 2. Matvei Michkov is number 2, and he's in this with his young gun. You've also got the number 9 scorer, the guy from the Islanders, Maxim Siplikov. Pretty decent player. You got the number 10 with Jackson Blake. I like that guy. He's pretty good for Carolina. The number 15 and the number 20 are also in this set too. So you got Nikolai Kovalenko from the Avalanche and Oscar Back from Dallas. So it's not void of other guys. So Celebrini is not the only thing in here. There is some additional potential.
The young gun I want is what I call Ivan Squared. Ivan. I didn't get him.
Ivan.
I want to. Maybe he'll spur off next year a whole insert set called Equations or something. We can have fun with his name, and maybe we can go back in hockey history and find other guys with similar first and last names or whatever. But
isn't there Marcel? Isn't that a guy?
Yeah.
I thought.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm gonna look that up.
I don't remember that.
And
I feel like that was a mime.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that like an actor?
Isn't that like a famous mime?
Maybe.
No, Marcel, born in Plzeň, Czech Republic.
Okay.
He's 21 years old. He was drafted by the Blackhawks in 2023. He had 13 points in 41 games for the Rockford Ice Hogs last year. He is a left wing. Yeah, Marcel. We got Ivan, and of course the GOAT of first name, same as the last name, Pete Peters.
Or you could just do guys who have last names that are first names. Then you have more stuff there to work with. But anyway,
have first names.
Upper Deck. Here's a free idea for you.
I'm just waiting for the hockey players that go by one name, like Cher or
Ichiro,
Elvis, or something like that.
Yeah,
like whoever.
Yeah,
it's just somebody. Pick a name.
We all know who Mario is.
Or maybe there's an insert called nicknames, and that would be like one name, But
yeah, and then on the back it would have nothing to do with the player's nickname. It would just be like,
yeah, he scored 38 goals in 27 games. It would be, yeah,
exactly, yeah, the BS blurb, as I call it.
They could go the other way. It could be called nicknames, and it's just all players with the name Nick.
Oh, you'd have Nick Cousins, Nick Suzuki, and
Nick Kyprios.
Yeah, we'll throw in some
school. There's some legends, like Nick legends.
Yeah.
Bernie Nichols.
Right.
Well, now we're getting silly, just like the sets.
Yeah, so this is time to end the show, I think. So, thank you for listening to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please be sure to like and subscribe. Please be sure to pass on the word to your hockey card collecting friends who might want to give this a listen. And until next time, collect what you like.